Donald Trump is afraid of rain, of dogs, of windmills, Merle Street, and being laughed at.
Isn't it past your jail time?
Mostly, he's terrified that real red-blooded American men will find out that he's a weak, tubby toddler.
Mommy, take me home.
You can't miss it. Trump's signature orange hue and that thick, heavy makeup. It's practically a trademark at this point. So when Dave Bautista took a jab at it, he didn't hold back, calling out the former president's not-so-subtle makeup routine. And let's be honest, he's not wrong. We've all seen it. The unnatural tan, the harsh contrast lines, the way it sometimes looks like it was applied with a paint roller. It's impossible to ignore.
Donald Trump had his daddy pay a doctor to say his little feet hurt so he could dodge the draft. Look at that gut, like a garbage bag full of buttermilk. He sells imaginary baseball cards pretending to be a cowboy fireman. Guy's barely strong enough to hold an umbrella. I mean, look how he drinks water. Like a little pink chickadee.
If you're enjoying this, don't forget to subscribe for more. But let's be clear, Bautista wasn't just cracking jokes for the fun of it. His comments weren't just about Trump's makeup. They were about how he chooses to present himself to the world. A world that dissects every detail. When Dave pointed it out, it wasn't some offhand remark. It was a sharp, deliberate observation that got people talking. Was he wrong? Well, judging by the endless memes and viral posts about Trump's look, plenty of people agreed. It wasn't just the heavy foundation or the unnatural tan. It was how something so obvious, and let's be honest, bizarre, had somehow become a defining part of his image.
Just a regular guy. Well, when I look up the definition of narcissist, this is who people want running our country. Everything he loses is rigged. When he won in 2016, because he lost the popular vote was rigged. What a whiny little bitch. The fact that he was convicted, 34 felonies, it was rigged. Guilty of fraud because it was.
Bautista didn't dance around it. He called it out directly. No filter, no hesitation, and people ate it up. Sure, the reactions were mixed, but most appreciated the humor. Some even pointed out that his joke highlighted how easily the public gets caught up in appearances rather than actions. Trump's makeup might seem like a minor detail, but it perfectly illustrates how image often overshadows substance. And speaking of distractions, if you thought that was bold, Bautista wasn't done yet. He's never been one to hold back, especially when it comes to Trump. One of his most brutal jabs came when he compared the former president to a tantrum-throwing 5-year-old behind the wheel of a truck. Harsh? Maybe. But let's be honest, it's not exactly inaccurate.
He pouts, he throws tantrums.
No, get those lights off!
He acts like a 5-year-old behind the wheel of a truck.
Bautista wasn't just taking shots at trivial things. He was calling out Trump's pattern of emotional outbursts. From Twitter meltdowns to public insults and a refusal to own up to mistakes, Trump's behavior often resembled anything but a steady leader. Bautista didn't hold back in saying what many were thinking. Trump lacked the emotional discipline and maturity expected from someone running a country.
He's cattier on social media than a middle school mean girl. The guy needs help walking downhill. Almost there, Grandma.
Bautista's comparison wasn't just some random insult. It reflected how many saw Trump as erratic and immature, someone who struggled to handle the serious responsibilities of leadership without getting caught up in petty feuds. His words spoke to a broader frustration that many Americans felt throughout Trump's presidency. Time and time again, Trump's leadership style seemed more reactive than strategic, driven more by personal grudges and ego than by rational decision-making or diplomacy. Instead of handling criticism like a leader, he lashed out, often turning minor issues into headline-grabbing drama. His constant need for validation, his public tantrums, and his inability to accept responsibility for failures painted a picture of someone more concerned with image than effective governance. In Bautista's eyes, these weren't just personality quirks. They were glaring red flags that suggested Trump was never suited for the highest office in the country.
Donald Trump is afraid of rain, of dogs, of windmills, Merle Street, and being laughed at.
Isn't it past your jail time?
Mostly, he's terrified that real red-blooded American men will find out that he's a weak,
tubby toddler.
Mommy, take me home.
Dave didn't hold back. His criticism of Trump wasn't just about trading insults. It was a deeper, more passionate plea for people to see the damage that this kind of leadership was causing. To him, it wasn't just about politics. It was about the country as a whole. His message was clear. Real leadership requires maturity, not someone throwing public tantrums like a reality TV meltdown. But that wasn't the end of Bautista's frustration. It was just the beginning. When Trump first launched his 2016 campaign, Bautista, like many others, was convinced there was no way he'd actually win. To him, it felt like a bizarre joke that couldn't possibly become reality. But then, Trump did win, and what started as disbelief quickly turned into outright frustration. By the time the 2020 election rolled around, Bautista wasn't just voicing his disapproval, he took it a step further. In a bold interview, he openly stated that if Trump were re-elected, he'd seriously consider leaving the United States. Think about that. This wasn't just a throwaway comment. Bautista, a man deeply connected to American culture and identity, was so disturbed by Trump's presidency that he was willing to consider uprooting his entire life. That alone speaks volumes about just how strongly he felt.
This dude got laughed out of the United Nations. That says a lot. It's gotta be the system's rigged. I hate Taylor Swift in all capital letters. What's more American than Taylor Swift? Nobody. Talking about Governor Whitmer, who was asking for federal help. He wouldn't return her phone call because she hurt his feelings.
For Bautista, this wasn't just about Trump's policies. It was about the direction of the country as a whole. He genuinely believed that another Trump term wouldn't just be a political setback, but a moral one. To him, Trump's re-election wouldn't just mean another 4 years of bad leadership. It would be a sign that America had embraced the very things he stood against: division, dishonesty, and a disregard for democracy itself. It wasn't just about disliking a politician. It was about what Trump's continued influence represented on a deeper level. Bautista's frustration only grew when he thought about how Trump's first campaign was initially dismissed as a joke, something too absurd to ever become reality, but it happened. And now, with Trump once again vying for power, the stakes felt even higher. Bautista wasn't just outraged, he was genuinely fearful of what another Trump term would mean for America's future. His serious talk of leaving the country wasn't just a personal decision, it was a reflection of how deeply divided the nation had become and how strongly some Americans felt about Trump's impact. Then there were the bizarre moments that made people question everything. One of the strangest, a rally where Trump told a meandering, nonsensical story about a lady and 3 apples. It had no clear point, no logical connection to anything, and seemed like something he had completely improvised on the spot. The crowd was left confused, and before long, the clip was making the rounds on late-night comedy shows. It was one of those moments that made people stop and ask, did he really just say that?
This was a hand-picked audience of Trump-loving women in Georgia, and he regaled this crowd with one of his favorite made-up stories, the story of the lady and the 3 apples.
What they've done to you with inflation is a disaster. It's the economy. People that were buying breakfast, they could no longer buy breakfast. Yeah. They have a case, a woman goes up to the counter with 3 apples. And then she says, oh, I can't afford it. She brings 1 apple back. That's not supposed to be our country. That's not our country.
All right.
That's right. This is a 3-apple country. Don't you forget it. You heard about the little pig who had to build a house out of sticks? Disgraceful.
Of course, Jimmy Kimmel wasn't about to let this one slide. On his late-night show, he wasted no time turning Trump's bizarre story into comedy gold. With his signature sarcasm, Kimmel transformed the rambling tale into a full-blown parody, pointing out just how little sense it actually made. The whole segment highlighted Trump's tendency to go off on wild, incoherent tangents, moments that often left even his own supporters scratching their heads. But beyond the laughs, Kimmel's bits served as a sharp critique of Trump's communication skills, or lack thereof. A president is expected to deliver clear, meaningful messages, yet time and time again, Trump's speeches felt more like unscripted, off-the-cuff ramblings. Kimmel's joke wasn't just about one strange story. It was about a larger pattern of chaotic, disconnected rhetoric that made people question whether Trump even knew what he was talking about half the time.
Who knows?
Do you think he's a 2-term president?
No. If he got voted in, if he lasts his full term, I And me grab my wife and my dogs and pack up and move to Europe.
But Kimmel didn't stop at just mocking Trump's confusing story. He also took aim at Trump's habit of handpicking audience members to cheer him on, particularly the women who seemed to always be there at his rallies. Trump often seemed to rely on a select group of supporters who were clearly positioned to validate his speeches, making it look like his popularity was more widespread than it actually was. Kimmel had a field day with this, poking fun at how staged and artificial these moments felt, as if they were part of some scripted performance. He even took it a step further by turning Trump's Lady and Three Apples story into an even more absurd parody, exaggerating the ridiculousness of it all to drive home just how out of touch and scripted these rallies seemed. Kimmel's jokes weren't just funny, they were sharp critiques of Trump's need for constant validation and control over the narrative.
This historic event, it was what appeared to be a barn decorated for Halloween, or maybe a haunted Cracker Barrel, I don't know. You know, Kamala released their medical report this week, and it said she has hay fever. So what does Trump do? He sits down surrounded by bales of hay.
Kimmel's talent for turning Trump's awkward, bizarre moments into biting satire really highlighted how much the former president's unpredictable behavior had morphed into a punchline in popular culture. It wasn't just about the one strange story, it was about how Trump's entire presidency had become a spectacle that late-night comedians like Kimmel had perfected in their routines. The jokes weren't just meant to get laughs, they were a cultural commentary on the absurdity of a presidency that often seemed more like a surreal storybook than a serious political era. Through humor, Kimmel captured the frustration and disbelief many felt as they watched a leader whose actions were as baffling as they were out of touch. It wasn't just comedy, it was a reflection of the nation's struggle to make sense of a presidency that seemed completely detached from reality.
Like Ali right now. Make America great. Let's stop all this hate. Love America again.
Bautista's fiery critiques of Trump, paired with Kimmel's sharp humor, really underscore the depth of frustration with Trump's leadership. Whether it's poking fun at his appearance or calling out his erratic behavior, both have sparked important conversations about the kind of leadership America truly deserves. It's clear that the line between politics and entertainment has never been blurrier, and these moments have captivated millions. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and leave a comment below. Let's keep the conversation going. What do you think of Dave and Jimmy's take on Trump? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. More videos are on screen now.